Time now to move on to the last selection of games produced by the Darling brothers for Mastertronic, and for their last couple of games they actually worked independently of one another, each of them producing a game. And first of all we're going to look at the last game produced by David Darling on the MAD packaging, and that's called The Last V8. Just for a change we're going to start by looking at the spine of this one, and the reason for that is to take a look here, which as you can see it's got the catalogue number MAD 1. I think it's fair to assume this was the first ever MAD release. So let's move to the front, and we've got the Last V8 logo, and we've got the original MAD game style, obviously, if it's release number 1, which is this sort of comic book style with lots of vibrant colours and speech bubbles. I've got seconds to get the heck out of here. Features voice synthesis and blam and fatum, or whatever the hell that says. And at the bottom we've got the MAD Games logo and Mastertronic's added dimension at the bottom there. So we'll flip over to the back and we've got some screenshots and more flashes and bangs, and there's Mastertronic poking his nose in, although it does say Mastertronic on the front there, but that is the original Mastertronic character that we saw a few weeks ago on the Make Music thing. So there's the intro to the game. Caught on the surface of a nuclear devastated planet, seconds to return underground before your radiation shield decays. And at the bottom there it says author David Darling. So let's take a look at the instructions. At the top there it says the game. I don't know why the E's are the wrong way round. I think we've seen that before on other inlays. MAD Games presents The Last V8, blah 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 blah, lots of info there, what you're supposed to do, etc. Controls, joystick and port 2 to control V8 scroll commands. Interesting way of describing driving, I would think. And the features, which have been a feature, so to speak, of the Darling Brothers games so far. 360-degree smooth scrolling, superb voice synthesis, 3-voice professionally composed theme music, excellent quality futuristic graphics, and realistic life simulation, which seems a little bit far-fetched considering you're in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. But there you go, and there's the loading instructions. And this is by far some of the most elaborate packaging for any Mastertronic games, because inside we've got this private eye character with his thumbs up and thinking, and what he's thinking is the foreign language instructions, which are way more comprehensive than are on most of the inlays. So quite a nice bit of presentation there, possibly done to illustrate the fact that it's worth more than the usual $1.99. So let's see how the game is when it loads. This is the loading screen. As you can see it says The Last V8, and it's got a picture of what is presumably the Last V8, the little red car in the corner there. Title screen is by Jim Wilson, who did many of the Mastertronic title screens, and I believe he's also responsible for the actual in-game graphics on this one as well. Just worth noting that above ground there, assuming that's the ground, we have a vision of this apocalyptic wasteland with a nice skeleton on a street corner there. So this is the game, and as you can see it says The Last V8, created by David Darling across the bottom there, and that's the title screen, so to speak. This is the screen that you see all the time, so let's get the game started. So, as you can hear, it starts with a bit of speech, not sure who did that, and you've got this readout across the bottom. You've got to get back to the base, as the speech just said, so that's how far you've got to go to the base. You've got time, fuel, turbo, shield, and also your speedometer and revometer and a bit of a steering wheel there. All that is the heads-up display, if you like, and this is the game playing area across the top. So you control the car by using the joystick, unsurprisingly, and what you find is when you start the game, to go forwards, i.e. that way, you have to push left. So you're immediately thinking that's not very clever, because I've got to go push up to turn right and down to turn left, as you can see there, and rear to slow down. But that it was that simple, because actually if you carry on pushing to the right you go back the way you came, because what it actually does is the joystick actually controls the direction that you move rather than actually steering, and that's game over, by the way, because I've run out of time. let's just get it over with. This game is ridiculously hard. Even by the Darling Brothers standards, this game is ridiculously hard. So I'll try and give it a bit more of a go, more seriously now. I've explained the control mechanism. And it is let down completely by the control mechanism. So you get that bit of speech at the start of every game. You just got one life, one crash and you're dead. So you push left to move left, and obviously the further you push left, the more you hold it down, the faster you go. And that's true for whichever direction you push. So to slow down, you've got to push in the opposite direction to the way you're pushing to go fast. So that's all well and good until you start to have to navigate around these corners, and then you have to start going really slowly, because otherwise you crash. Because if you try and turn when you're going too fast, you don't turn quickly enough. So I should add that I've only got this far from like about 100 goes worth of practice. But it's a bit strange to be driving one of these super fast V8 cars when you can't go fast because you've got to meander around all these curves. And there's my time running out, and I've gone down a dead end as well. So just turn on, and there we go, time's run out. So the idea is you've got to get to this little base by navigating down this road, and thus far I've found it completely impossible. If you go at any sort of speed, you crash into anything. Even a pebble on the side of the road will kill you. So what I'm going to try and do is cheat. Because I found a little area that you can go through, which I'll try and go through now. You can do this first bit relatively quickly, but the rest of the game it's impossible to actually go quickly, which when you're driving a V8 car seems a bit strange. But what I found, oh no, too fast. So what I found, as I was saying, when I crashed, was that there's a little gap here that you can go down if you negotiate it right, which actually is a shortcut and allows you to get a little bit further through the game with a bit more time left on the clock. It's still quite tricky due to the crazy controls, and I'm getting rather low on time. Probably still not going to make it, believe it or not. Oh, and I crashed into another building. Utterly frustrating. So I'm through that gap again, with a bit more time left this time, hopefully. Just pick my way around this maze. And this is the base, the first bit of the base that you've got to get to. So that said, caution, avoid radioactive zones, and this is the second level, and I might add last level. And you've got to make your way around this city. And I've only been on this level once in the past, but from what I can gather, it's rather tricky. I've got no idea which way to go. So it's total guesswork at this point. And I've crashed into a building, and frankly I don't care, because it's just the most awful game for control. As you get so little time to talk about the game while you're playing it, because it only lasts for about 60 seconds, I'm going to just talk over this rolling demo, which actually plays the game much better than I do anyway. So graphics wise it's really quite impressive. Obviously the earliest game from the Darling Brothers, or David Darling specifically, that had a top view driving style, which obviously was later used in games like Micro Machines. and musically it's good as well, with a good Rob Hubbard theme tune. If only you got to hear more than the first 30 seconds of it when you're playing, it might be quite nice. So this is how you're supposed to play the game, and if you could drive at this speed using the control method that's available, then you're a better man than me. So yeah, graphics, apart from the fact that the gameplay window only takes up about just over a third of the screen, very impressive. Obviously it's got digitised speech as well, which is reasonable, not too easy to make out, but so musically and visually pretty cool, but it's all let down by just ridiculously difficult gameplay. The control method, I really can't emphasise how bad it is, and you really need to just get the game and play it on an emulator or load it up on a Commodore 64 to really appreciate just how bad it is, how difficult it is to control. And the whole idea of driving around this V8 car at speeds like you can see on the screen now, which are so slow just so you can get around the course, is stupid. And also there are only 2 levels. This is the second one. If you complete this level, then you complete the game. So if you get good at the game, I believe I've read that you can complete the game in about 90 seconds, which is absolutely disgraceful for a game that costs £2.99, and consequently it's not worth that. It's very much a case of all style and no substance.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.